Randy and Antoinette, State Police, Framingham Police just cleared this scene here a short while ago after spending much of the night. Edgell Road has been reopened. Take a look at some of the video closer to this crash scene. You can see just how severe the impact was between these two vehicles. It was shortly before midnight, a head-on crash at Central Street and Edgell Road. And it is believed one of the drivers was an off-duty Framingham police officer. He was responding to a call for help and backup to an out-of-control house party that's about 2 miles from the crash scene. Now, we're told several people in this crash were taken to the hospital, 2 by medical helicopters. Police radio communications reveal the house party was chaotic, with officers sounding desperate for help. Now, as for the crash, we are waiting for updates on conditions. It appears that both drivers were trapped in that crash at one point. Now, the house party was on Brook Street in Framingham. We don't know many details about what was going on there or whether any arrests were made. As soon as we find out more, we'll bring it to you.